in the dark, could be anywhere, but usually a natural setting. Sometimes walking the dogs, I'll see things.
No expense spared here at all. No. Total value for money. How are you? Happy Friday. Yes, another Friday. I'll say that again for your benefit, not for mine, because at the moment not working. You know, still on the sick, but hey, there you go. You know, it's one of those things. I'd like to say I'm enjoying it being off work, but it's awful. It's terrible. It's really quite depressing, as you can see. But right, let's get this show on the road. We have got a guest tonight as well. Let's have a look. There we are. Hi, as you can see, I had a haircut as well, and I've got a new t-shirt. I I just freaking love Dogman. Anyway, let us know in the comments if you like that or not. That's good. Right, how are you guys? If you let us know in the comment, that'd be really good. Let's have a look. I just want to say thank you again for we've got I had a bit of a change around, okay, because I sorted out the comments finally. Didn't realize this, had no idea, but moderators can't actually put tag comments onto the screen. Okay, so there's me going pin a comment, and they were going, "Oh, we can't, Phil, we can't." And I was like, oh man, okay. So it didn't work out. So in the end, the way it had to be was I had to nominate someone, and you can only have one. All right, because I've got a middle of the road package plan on this. Okay, on this StreamYard. So I've got a middle of the road package plan. So you can have one like admin, um, and but they've got to do kind of like a lot of different things. They've got to it's not just like moderation where you can go through, chat to people, you know, and kind of censor some things, maybe not, but sometimes, um and you know, kind of like just chat to people and generally kind of, you know, keep things going. That's great. Oh, thank you, Donia. Yeah, thank you very much. And so so I had to get a moderator. So the moderator is Dawnio. Okay, that's Dawnio 70. Brilliant, lovely girl. And I've got Roxy B handling all the flapping around from one screen to the other screen, kind of doing all the putting the questions up. So if you've got any questions, let us know. I've got a UFO guy coming on tonight. Okay, and I've got a ton of content as well. From the point of view of videos, I've also got the theme of tonight. So when I put up the post, um, oh, thank you, Kate. Yeah, no, I appreciate that. That's very lovely. When I put up the post originally, it's going to be about missing people, um, which we all know is quite a thing. Um, there's a guy, just I think it was only a couple of years ago, that went missing in Scotland. Found his backpack. But he was kind of like, he knew the terrain, he knew the area, he'd been there before many times, and it's strange how these things happen, and it happens to people which, especially in the States as well, which they're seasoned hikers, they're seasoned bushcraft, they know what they're doing, they're not like kind of um, you know 13-year-old kids going out into the forest or woods and boom, that's it, getting lost and the worst happens. These a lot of times these people are seasoned people that go out and just disappear. So I wanted to talk about that, and I wanted to get your opinions on what you thought. I did put a poll up, so I'm going to have a little look at the poll now. Okay, let's have a look. And I think it came out tops, if I am completely right. It came out completely tops. Boopy doopy doo. Let me show you. Let me show you what the poll was. Right then, I asked, let me refresh it. Okay, I asked, do you think aliens or cryptids, e.g., Dogman, have something to do with missing people? Not all missing cases, the more stranger cases I will be featuring. Let's see what you poll out. So we've got 33% cryptids, in brackets Dogman. 66% beam me up, Scotty, aliens. Okay, so they're kind of the favourites at the moment. And 1%, bless their hearts for the Fae, you know. Oh, so that's what we've got at the moment on the poll. But if you want to keep adding to it, by all means, you can. It's interesting to know that aliens are the ones which people believe the most to be to blame for missing people. Which brings us to now. Do you think that there is a link up between the cryptids and aliens? Because I think there is. I think there is. I interviewed a couple of people, and I think that they. Let me just see. I interviewed a couple of people, and they have told me before that they've been on craft and they've actually seen entities. They've seen these Bigfoot entities, um, especially Bigfoot. So and they go out and they kind of like have got authority over them. It's the most oddest thing. It's the most oddest thing. But I'm going to play those videos in just a tick. But first, I want to get a guest on. Um, and this guest has been on previously, uh, and he's part of the CE5 group. And in my book, he's quite an authority on when it comes to what is going on at the moment. Yeah. And I need that because, to be honest with you, I'm not a big UFO guy. Cryptid, yes, yeah. Paranormal, yes. But with the case of being with the UFO, I strongly believe in it, but my background knowledge is sorely missing. I try and catch up what I can, on YouTube and other things, but it's lacking. But this guy knows, he's got his finger on the pulse. So that's put him on the spot now. He's thinking to himself, God, I hope I have. Right. Okay, and I'd like to bring up Chris Meechin, sorry. I always get your name wrong. Hello, brother.
How are you, Phil? You all right?
I'm good, thank you. Thank you for joining us.
No problem. Anytime. You know that.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. Um, we were just chatting a little bit on Messenger about because the whole theme tonight is about missing people, and I wanted to get your thoughts really on it, Chris. I know David Grosh is it has mentioned about it. Um, can you expand on what he mentioned?
Well, I mean, he didn't specifically mention that in his words. Um, Up until I think he actually said it in Congress that he's seen evidence that an agreement has been made between us and whatever they are. We call them aliens. We just don't know just yet, but he said he talks about agreements. Okay,
Mm,
now and these agreements, it's looking more and more that we're not going to like what we're going to hear out of this.
mm.
And it just seems a hell of a lot of people go missing in America every year.
Yeah, no,
There's
for
a hell of a
sure.
lot of people. Now, I'd be interested to see the figures of actually how many people get found. There's likely to be a deficit there. People go out, they sleep rough, maybe drugs, or a lot of
Mm,
people die on the streets. So there would be people that would be found. So there'd be a deficit there. How many people truly, truly go missing and never get found every year? You know.
mm, yeah.
That's the data that you'd be looking at, and to
Mm.
why do they find these people? What happens to these people? Do they die on the streets, or what happens to these people?
Yeah, yeah, because we get a lot of witness. There's a lot of witness testimony where the ones are taken and then they come back, and they have these incredible stories where they've taken aboard ships and they have
Yeah,
this
oh,
missing time
absolutely.
and loss of time and stuff like that. And I spoke to one lady who I got the video footage of you might have heard of her, Nancy Thames.
I've heard that name definitely.
Mm. So, I interviewed her some time back, and I said to her, I gave her the question. I said, "Why is it that when people have these encounters and are abducted, why is it that they uh, have this kind of amnesia? They have no idea what's gone on. They find it very hard to recollect." She said, "Well, she said you have to remember that um, with these alien beings, let's call them aliens, but they actually have only got to touch your head and boom, the memories of what has happened, of what has gone on is just gone, you know. Um, Now I'm still very skeptical when it comes to, I mean, don't get me wrong, right? I think what you do and the CE5 group do is brilliant, but I'm very wary of what you do. I think it's good what you're doing, but I'm wary of what you're doing
Oh,
because
yeah, yes, we are also very aware of.
are
Um,
you?
I think, yeah, no. So I'm actually still very, very skeptical about what we do, and I don't. I'm still of the mind that this is correlation. That every now and again that what we do during the meditations, it attracts what's already there, Phil. It attracts what's already there. So if you don't do the CE5 and have a real good look at that sky, anytime, day or night, you're going to see stuff without the CE5. You're going to see it. Eventually, if you point that camera long enough, you are going to see it. So C5. Oh, are we? Yes. So there is. There's this evidence through the Skywatcher team at the moment that have say they can make contact through the C5, and yes, there definitely seems to be a correlation that if you do the C5 meditation, that you'll see more stuff. That you'll definitely see more weird stuff in the sky. Is that contact? I don't know, because if you point the camera at the sky and just look, you're still going to see that stuff. If they say there is a link, I'm still. I've been doing it for 2 years as well.
and yeah, exactly. Andy Penn's
very skeptical.
Andy Penn's brought up a question. Okay, Chris, and he said, well, not a question so much, but people go missing. Is it the Montauk project still continuing?
I don't think so. I don't think it would be that specific project. If that, I would imagine that Montauk projects. If something like that was still going, it would have changed names 1,000 times. Been in different departments. It certainly wouldn't be. It may be a continuation of that. Maybe.
I agree with you. I do agree with you. Because I think with Montauk Project, it's one of those where they indoctrinate the minds to such a degree. Afterwards, what do they do with those kids that are grown up into adults when their minds are so dogmatically kind of overtaken, and dogmatic is the wrong word, but their minds are so cultured and so formed by the powers that be, into what they want to measure them as and to use them for. I don't know if they'll be allowed out, actually. I don't know if they'll be allowed out in society. Oh, do you mind, like, kind of, oh, were you in Montauk Project? I was, actually. Well, yeah, if you could go onto that till over there, welcome to Tesco's.
I think you'd be looking at more of a case, someone like Ted Kaczynski, who he was actually part of MK Ultra, unbeknownst to him, until years. He may have, he would have likely known at some point that he was part of this MK Ultra, but it would have been years and years and years later. So usually people that would be caught up in them sort of weird and wonderful projects that we all know the American government have done, that you probably wouldn't know about it until years later, until the trauma set in, or you was actually told about why you were there and what you was doing, you know.
Chris, I got a question for you, and this is okay, right? So my question is this: you meditate, and a lot of people go out there and try and form contact with these beings, and we know there is lights in the sky. We know there is something there that we are not sure what it is, but there is something out there in the skies and around us as well, in the form of what we kind of put an umbrella name across as alien. You look at the amount of times that they've had a bad rep when it comes to abductions and interactions of aliens. Does that have any bearing with you when it comes to making contact with them? Kind of, we're ushering them down. We're like, come on down.
Yeah, we really do. We beg them to get as close as possible, as humanly possible, like, and we have had some success. The thing is, the strange thing, we've had some success, and this is why I keep going back, and I don't fully dismiss it. I'm still very skeptical. What is the attraction to us? You know, I'm really not that interested in Phil.
No, I get it. I get it. No, I get it. You know, sort of, and I don't think you are interested actually, but I get it what you're saying. But what I'm saying to you is, should we be asking them to come down? Look
Yeah,
at the
I
amount of
think we
times
should.
when the people turn around and go, well, they took me on a ship, Chris, and then they prodded me, probed me, they drilled in,
I think
they put something under my
if
skin.
we're ever to find anything else about them, Phil, we've got to take a scientific approach. We can't be scared. We just can't. They may think this, whatever this is, they do not think like us. It is categorical. They are not us. They do not think like us. They would not have the same morals, and they certainly wouldn't have the same law structures. They would be a law unto themselves, possibly without emotions. You know, so
Yeah,
you're
yeah.
looking at an entity that's stupidly intelligent, but possibly that lacks basic emotion. You know.
Yeah, no, I get you. I'm just going to play you a little bit of Nancy Thames. Can I play you a little bit of
Yeah,
this?
please
I know
do.
you've got a live coming up. Everyone, if you check out what's the name of your YouTube,
It's called the
Chris?
Sky Fisher.
Skyfisher.
The Sky Fisher, yeah. It's yeah, it's just a
Okay,
little
so
end game for our clips. We've got so many of them. I'm running out of storage all the time.
no problem. No, that's fine. I got it. Yeah, no, I understand that part of it. You know, sort of like you get sort of, so I've got like something like 15 hours of content already backed up. It's like, yeah. Um, okay, right. So Sky Fisher, and I know 8 o'clock tonight. He's going to have a live dropping on Sky Fisher on YouTube. So everyone just like, sort of, I want you to just have a little look after the live. Right. Okay. Let's have a look. I'm going to get up. I'm going to get something up, which I think. Oh, hang on. What have we got here, Andy? I've taken part in CE5 events and also meditation. One thing I noticed about the CE5 meditation is the breathing technique is quite fast, almost make you a little dizzy, hyperventilating. Is that right, Chris?
Yeah, I think it depends. There's so many different guided meditations out there. We have used Stephen Greer's guided meditation. I, I, if the breathing is a little bit fast on that particular meditation, I would definitely suggest maybe try and get in front of that move itself. If you know it's coming up, you know, take a big deep breath before that actually comes on. If you find that a little bit uncomfortable, if it says takes 3 breaths, try taking 2 in that same amount of time. But if what I'm trying to say is, as a group, we've changed our meditations as well. So we've created our own, and our own one allows, as it happens, it was one of the main requirements was time for breathing. So yeah, to have a go at making your own. You know, I mean, the guided meditations. If you're into the C5, yeah, your guided meditations by Stephen Greer. Has it got to be Stephen Greer? Couldn't you do 5 minutes of your own? You know roughly what you've got to do inside that meditation. You know, do you need to be guided to do that? You know, if you could set yourself 5 or 10 minutes aside with a little bit of music, something that you like, you know, and then you could still do that meditation without being told exactly what to do with your consciousness. So,
Okay.
you know, so Andy, have a go at maybe doing your own ones. We've started doing our own now. We've gravitated away from Stephen Greer.
Have you? Okay, right. Ah, does he mind you still being? Is it still? Does you do you have to like cast aside the CE5 part of things? You have to leave that.
No, not leave it, but how can I put it? You know, each group is going to have their own personality. You know, and
Yeah.
you're trying to do this guided meditation. I think he's done different versions of it. I think there's a 5 or a 6 minute. There's a 9 minute. There's a 20-minute version of it. You know, you got these different versions, but basically, you're doing the same thing mentally. And each of these guided meditations, you're trying to meditate and take yourself out into space and connect with what's out there. And it doesn't. How can I put it? You don't need Stephen Greer in the background telling you to do that.
No, sure, no. But I mean, there's a lot of people that kind of go off on a frequency, an astral plane almost, and sort of
I'll send you something about frequency that I found the other day. I'll send it to you over on Facebook a bit later.
All right, that'd be cool.
Very, very
that'd
interesting.
Cool.
Interesting read, maybe for another day. Definitely.
All right, thank you. I'll put this. I'm going to find this just to share quickly with you because I know it's 7:30. Let's have a look. I'm just finding it. Right. Okay. Got it. Right. Okay. Where are we? Oh, hang on. No, 1 minute. That's gone a bit. Hold on. 1 minute. Oh, got it. 1 minute. Right. What on earth going on here? Right. Okay. I got it. Okay. Here we go. Right. Let me try that again. Bear with. That was a bit confusing, wasn't it? Right. Hold on. Boo. Okay. And share screen and do. Okay. All right, then let's get this up. And today.
And interact. And they can only do that for a certain period of time that I know of. Anything's possible. But, I would see them mingling around, shopping, having a cart, moving around. The other thing that I kind of indicated to me was their choice of clothing is not necessarily, it goes unnoticed by anyone else, but for me, it seemed out of place for the period of time. It looked to me more like they had gone through a dress rehearsal closet of a movie theater or something and just pull things out, that were not time. They were blended together things, but not time.
That odd. Well, yeah. Odd mixtures of clothes, you mean?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
So,
right.
But they still emit a frequency. So that's how I know that they recognize me. And as I gravitated towards them and took interest and was watching, they did the same towards me. Until we were like smack dab in line together around all these other people. And neither one of us, telepathically, they let me know that they knew that I know and they knew who I was. But, as far as verbalization in front of other people, no.
Okay. Thank you. Another thing, when you've been on the ship, if they take these, I know I'm kind of like ballparking around here, but I'm going for one. But so much to cover. I just love talking to you. Have you ever seen these so-called entities that we call Bigfoot, Dogman on their ships being held captive until they get taken away to a safe place away from us? Have you ever seen one of these?
I know that if they have one that's aggressive, which I don't know what that means necessarily, what we consider aggressive is, in higher realms, there is no negativity or whatever. But for whatever reason, if they were to move them, maybe their curiosity got the best of them, etc. They will contain them, but I never saw like where that would be. But I don't. There are no prisons or compartments that they still would have free roam around
Right.
stuff like that. But they would move them to wherever need be.
Okay. Do you know specifically? What aliens are we talking about when we talk about these aliens that are interacting with you? Which aliens are they?
Many, many different races. They all work together. Where I go is a mothership, and it's got the grays of many different. There's over 60 different races of grays in many different colors, different heights, different facial features. There's Nordics, many different ones. There are humanoids, many different ones. There's what I call the interdimensionals, and they're not as physical. They're more etheric, physical looking, more etheric, and they are what I would consider, or what I would call, elders, or the shining ones, or they're the ones that have been around the load. They're the oldest of all of them.
Yeah. So, you know them to all kind of like get on, because I've been told in the past that the Greys are really quite hated. They're not particularly the nicest, and the other collective on the council, if you like, don't really get on with them, don't like them. Is this something that you've been privy to, that you know, or do you think are you sure they all get on?
They all.
Right, a bit of a cliffhanger there. Within the group, with Greer, has he mentioned anything about to you about the grey aliens and any other species of alien? Because I've been interested about Greer, what he thinks.
Yeah, so I'm not a massive lover of Stephen Greer, to be honest. I think he's done amazing for the C5 community. I think he really did have a good go at the disclosure effort in the 90s and early 2000s. But he comes up with a lot of interpretation. A lot of his interpretation is based around that. This technology is actually ours. All of it's ours. None of it's theirs. So I don't know where he got that from, but everything's man-made at the moment that he's saying. And the people that I listen to that are reporting on this stuff daily are saying that is not the case. That is just not the case. So he's also got different interpretations of beings. I know he's had witnesses come forward that have said they've definitely got like Men in Black style underground bases. They 100% have. They've got aliens walking around these bases. This is Greer's whistleblowers, so I have no doubt that he actually believes that. There was one whistleblower in particular. I actually stopped listening to him. He was way too far-fetched for me, with no evidence to submit. His name was Emery Smith. He was associated with Greer, I think, when they started doing the gay channel through Amazon and stuff. If I'm not sure what happened to this Emery Smith, but he reported like hundreds of different types of aliens. There's just like the way he spoke about it. There's hundreds of them. Different types of grey, different types of reptilian or mantis beings, and according to him, there's a few of them that hang about in underground bases, cut out in mountains and things like that. Now, the way he described it was something like Men in Black. I struggle with that, Phil. I really struggle with that, because I mean we've got a yes for Roswell. We've got a yes. There's something in the sky. We're getting a yes. We've got technology. We've got some bodies. We've got this, that, and the other. What we're not getting is yes. We've got underground bases with Men in Black style. No, like we're at the beginning at
Yeah,
the moment,
yeah,
you know.
yeah,
Um,
yeah. We're on that. We're on that sort of cusp again of
we're
like.
on the first step. Like this guy, if the thing is, we can't fully discredit him because for years Lazar was discredited. Yeah, it's turned out most of the things that he spoke about they're actually real. You know, S4, the crafts, the bodies, the materials, the element 115,
Yeah.
Muscovia, everything came true. So you couldn't. The only thing they couldn't find was his education history. So I mean, like seriously,
Well, yeah, the education history, but he did actually. They went into some documents. They dug around in some documents on on Area 51 because he worked on a certain section of Area 51,
yes,
didn't he?
yes,
SE2 or something it was, something like that.
S4,
S4, that's it. And they were digging around, and there was his name popped up as being a consultant there or something. He was working
yeah,
there.
it absolutely was, yes.
You know, so Chris, Andy said, "Are you suggesting you raise your vibration rather than lower it, like in OM meditation?"
Yes, I would suggest you raise it if you can. If you're doing it as a group, as high as you can get it. As get that vibration as high and as vibrant as you can. And we've got a couple of techniques we use as a group for this. We share all food. Any food that's brought, any food and drinks, we all share. It's put in the middle. It's just shared between us. So it creates like straight away quite a carefree environment. You know, like a help yourself. Everything it belongs to everybody.
Yeah.
Same with any footage that's collected. It's shared in amongst the group straight away. You know, so yeah, raise that vibration as high as you can get it.
Okay.
And try alternative meditations, Andy, if you can. I would just try maybe through Phil, or is to try and write you one. I could actually write you one. I could use an AI to write you one with extended breathing and all sorts. You know, very very simple to write. So if you contact me you can contact me anytime. I'd help you write personalised one for you. It's not a problem.
Thanks, Chris. No, that'd be good. There you go, Andy. Just want to play you another little bit of footage just to get your another interview just recently. This was now this guy was absolutely so exuberant. He was just full of energy, absolutely full of. He's like a dynamo, lovely guy, but just like a dynamo. He was just like, you know, it was it was hard to keep up with him, Chris. You get guests like that sometimes, right? But he came out with some interesting things. Just want to get your thing on it. Let's have a look. Yeah. Aha. Right then, here we go.
Yeah. I go aboard. It's cool. It's cool. Right. I go aboard a spaceship for training. And I met many different ones. On that ship, there was a female Bigfoot, okay? When they go on ships, they wear a gown. Because, yeah, that's what they wear, okay? I went straight up behind her, and I put my hand on her shoulder, man. She swung round like they do, sideways, like. And I just put my hand straight on the side of her face, man. And we just shared a moment, but they are all connected. Okay, they do their part. They all mind speak to one another. Many languages become one language. Okay,
Sean, who are connected?
with mind speak.
Who are connected? Who?
Many different races, dude. Arcturians, Lyrans, they're cat beings. Okay.
Okay.
The same Andromedans.
Okay, so the aliens,
Arcturians, Pleiadians. There are many races above us.
And they're connected with Sasquatch.
They're all connected, dude.
Okay.
They all come together. They're all serving the light currently. Well, those that want to, you know, there are some races that aren't involved.
Okay, right.
They go on ships, they have powwows, and they speak about the Earth, Mother Earth. Mother Earth is evolving, dude. This is the whole point of all of this. It's Mother
Okay.
Earth is evolving, okay?
Okay,
They
that's
are as much as us children of the Earth, okay?
okay. That's cool.
Interesting.
Look at this. I find it a bit strange, you know, Chris, that we do get contact with them. You know, they say that if they flash at you, then they're
Yes.
saying hello. Yeah. But I still can't get my head around why we would want to invite them down where we don't quite know. I know we've got to sort of every communication we have had with them so far, and it's been on a mostly individual basis, and that individual basis has ended pretty bloody badly.
Unfortunately, it seems that way, that the personal experiences always seem to end in this really frightening, possibly abduction scenario, or you know, I honestly think it is a case of possibly like Bambi and the lion. You know, we come face to face with something we absolutely do not know what this thing is. We do not know its intent. We don't know why it's here, why we are there in the abduction experiences. And I think that's the frightening part, and I think that's the negative part. I think if one day that, I mean, as humans, I don't think that would be possible emotionally to overlook these abduction experiences. You know, if that is really what's happening, that is so illegal. You know, you're going to prison for 20 years for taking someone out of their bed. They're taking them away for the night, sticking some weird stuff in them. Yeah, like prodding and poking and God knows what else has been reported, and then send them back to their bed. Phil, you're going to prison for 20 years for that in the real world. Yeah, maybe for life. You get probably sectioned first. You know, and if that's happening, that's the frightening. That's just that's frightening. You know, some of the encounters that have been spoken about are of maybe not so terrifying. You know, the Rua case when the children in Africa, you know, a lot of the children didn't report being actually scared. You know, they were curious. You know, there's one little girl. She's, you know, what are you doing here? Like, what, you know, there was no. So the reports vary, but again, going back to what I said earlier, if this is a non-human intelligence, regardless of where it's from, it doesn't think like us, Phil.
No, no. It doesn't.
Entity, you know, this is like us looking at animals on the Serengeti and going, "Oh, that lion's so cruel for eating that antelope," you know.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah. I don't think
through rose-tinted human glasses.
So, bottom line, with abductions, are you on the alien camp or Dogman camp? What do you think? Why do you think, as quick as possible, do you think the abductions happen? Why are they taking people?
It'd be the same reason we would take animals out of the wild. It's to look, it's to see what's going on, to test what's going on. Genetics, possibly. We keep hearing. I'll say keep hearing. It's actually gone quiet. But Elizondo, at the very start of all this, he chucked the DNA card out there, and he soon retracted it very, very quickly. But they're looking. If they're there, Phil, they're looking at us. If they're watching us, they are absolutely, definitely some form of observation and by the looks of it and the accounts, that go back 5,000 years, by the way, not just this century, that people are being abducted.
Yeah.
They're watching
Yeah.
us. They're keeping an eye on us.
Yeah, I think you are right. And Andy has said on underground basis, Phil Schneider died under mysterious circumstances. Does this indicate underground bases exist? Could missing people be delivered to the bases? Well, do you know what I find? There's this thing of a hum. People hear a hum, a mechanical
Yes.
sound from underneath the ground. I know for a fact when I used to live in Lakenheath, right by the base, there's a warren, and I used to take my dog out at night, and I used to go walking along the warren. And Nick Knock used to love it. He was a collie cross lurcher, and so I got him in Wales originally. Anyway, he used to love going out at night, and I used to hear like this underground rumbling, kind of like a it's like almost like a train going underneath. It wasn't until later on I did find out it was they do have a train running from
Ah,
both Hall and Lakenheath. Yeah,
interesting. Yeah.
many years ago. But you know, people do hear this mechanical sounds from under the earth everywhere in a lot
Yeah, they've
majority of
reported it
places.
for years, and it is. They call it the hum, don't they? I
Yeah.
think it's called the hum. I've never really looked
Havana
into
hum was a big one, wasn't it? The Havana hum? That was
I've
a big one.
never really looked into that. I always thought when I heard that you're going to find out a likely industrial cause, you know.
Mm.
So I never really thought about that. But getting back to your missing persons, something's just popped into my head that when we started, we spoke about an agreement. Now we've been talking about abductions, aliens. David Grush said specifically that agreements have been made between us and them. The only agreement that I could think of is like some form of trade deal, or like we give you some technology, we give you some fuel, maybe some of this element 115, and you let us just every now and again we pop down and we'll find a few homeless people, we just make them vanish, and you know, nobody will know difference, and you know, life can go on. Or the other, which I always thought, however, Fort Knox has just been apparently audited. So that would be interesting to find the results of that. The other exchange that I could think of was gold, possibly. The old, you know, there was an old stories of Anunnaki come to mine gold, and they used us to mine gold, and you know, people got smart, maybe, you know, I don't know. But the exchanges, it's the
Well,
exchanges
I mean, there was
that's going to be concerning, because that could involve people, Phil. That could
that
quite
could
easily.
it happened years ago, didn't it? With Majestic 12. Majestic 12 was a thing where they exchanged 12 personnel.
No. So, no, Majestic 12 was a group of 12. They
Mm,
were in charge of the initial secret at the very start of the Roswell. Now, later on, there was, in the late 60s and 70s, there was a rumor of an exchange program. And the
yeah,
exchange program in the 60s and 70s said that 12 or 8 or 12 or whatever the number was of us, we go to live there, wherever there is, and
yeah,
and
yeah.
then we get the same number to come here.
Mm.
And
And
the
they went off to live there, but I think only 2 returned or
yeah,
something
only a
ridiculous.
handful returned. I think
Mm,
a few stayed, actually just loved it and stayed there. I think several died of unknown causes, and a couple actually came back to tell the tale. So, but if that's correct, that is probably the one thing that I'd be so upset about. Nothing else would surprise me in this film. You know, if there is a
mm.
higher power that is over us, and what can we do about it? I mean,
Yeah.
literally, like seriously, like we've just got to carry on with it. But what would
Yeah.
upset me is not maybe not the materials knowledge, because yeah, you get it. You know, you don't want that to fall into the wrong hands.
Yeah.
But if there's been an exchange and that information has been gathered about, I mean, literally another place in this
Yeah.
universe, you know, and it hasn't
Yeah.
been shared with academia, how
Mm.
unfair would that be?
Absolutely. I agree with you.
That's
Chris,
the bits that really upset me in this, I think.
I agree with it. Absolutely. You know, it's the and I think it's gone on for so long now, pulling the
And yes,
wool over
Andy,
people's eyes.
underground bases 100% exist.
Mm.
They
I think, oh, I
100%
do.
exist.
Yeah, I do.
100%.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. Oh, I definitely do agree with that. I do agree with Andy on that. Yeah, I think they do exist. Chris, last thing. Have you had missing time?
Oh, when I was a child, I'm missing about an hour and a half once. And I was up playing behind my house as a kid. There was fields, and it was like a big half circle of like gorse, and it was probably about 3/4 of a mile round, half horseshoe sort of shape. And it used to take us probably about half an hour to walk. So I used to go up there and walk my dog, my little Jack Russell, and I'd have been about 8 or 9, and there was a small group of us. I think my sister was there, and this one day we walked up. We never slowed down. We never stopped. We never. And when we come back, I think my mum said to us, "Oh my God, where have you been?" We said, well, "We're just walking the dog." She said, "Well, it's like 4:30 or something like that." And we should have been in at about, I don't know, 3ish or something like that. In hindsight, it could have, I don't remember the time of year. It could be that day the clocks went forward and we were just a little bit slower. But genuinely, that there was an hour and a half missing somewhere there, which we couldn't explain.
You can't remember that at all. No, there's no part of that you can remember, Chris.
Say that. Sorry, I lost you for 2 seconds.
Is there any? Sorry, mate. Is there any part you can't remember any of that part where you
What,
went?
that missing time?
Yeah.
Yeah, no. I all I remember, we used to walk the dog regular. I mean, like, oh God, 2, 3, 4 times a week as kids, all over the fields. It was safe over there, and we would do this roughly the same loop, if you like, with the dog, and it used to take us about half an hour, and then this particular day, I think we'd been gone 2 hours in total. But like I say, I don't remember where the time went, or if there was a moment, or if I can't remember if the clocks went forward that day and it just appeared like we lost that time, or I just can't remember. But there was a gap in that time somewhere, definitely.
Got Ready Steady Retro said, didn't they also bring Tracon to Earth to mine gold and minerals for them? The more aggressive people killing breeding Sasquatch like in the States. Yeah, the Tracon, like a lizard. I think they're
The lizard people, possibly.
Yeah.
I mean, we're still waiting for some form of evidence from the government to say this is the case, you know. But it is looking like, but more and more daily, that this massive assortment of these aliens, or whatever you want to call them, these entities, these beings, they're here. Like, there's no two ways about it, and they've been here for a long time. Like,
Yeah, no, I agree. I do agree with you. Chris, I'm going to say cheerio. Thank you very much for coming on, mate. I appreciate it. And good luck with the live.
Thank you very much. Cheers, guys.
All right.
See you later.
Bye, mate. Right, good. Okay. That was very nice of Chris to come on. I appreciate that. And as I say, he's good wealth of knowledge the guy's got. You know, when it comes to UFOs and stuff like that, it's like he's got a lot of knowledge. He knows his stuff. Yeah, so check out. I'll put a link in this to his YouTube channel as well. Right, talking about, I've done a little bit of referencing, okay, on missing time, and it led me down a bit of a rabbit hole and missing people. Okay, it's all kind of like interconnected as far as I can see. There's also an awful lot of houses, properties where people will pass and then they'll go back the following day and it's just not there at all. We had our own, both Roxy B and myself had our own encounter with that. But we'll speak about that a little bit later, just a little while. But I want to tell you a quick. These accounts you may not have heard of. They're very difficult to find, but hopefully they're new to you. Right, 17-year-old Imogen went to the city to buy clothes for her older sister's new baby. A new branch of Mothercare had opened in the corner of Lord Street, and she went in and soon collected a number of excellent articles, all at bargain prices. But when Imogen tried to pay for them with her credit card, the shop assistant stared at the credit card suspiciously and went to get her line manager, who in turn examined it closely, then declared, "We don't take those, love." Imogen wandered around replacing the clothes and went home to tell her mother what had happened. But her mother was certain that Mothercare had moved away because her own bank, HSBC, had taken over the site. Neither would back down. So the next day they went there together, and of course there was no Mothercare. In 2006, a petty thief named Sean was chased down Hanover Street by a security guard. He made a mistake of running into Brooks Alley, a dead end. Sean felt a sensation of tightness in his chest as he waited for the guard to enter the alley, but the guard did not appear, and Sean ventured back into Hanover Street. But things had changed. Clothing, styles, background details. The cars were all old-fashioned. Sean couldn't get a signal for his mobile phone. He realized that he was in a past time and began to panic. He ran back to the alley, then walked to a news kiosk near Central Station and looked at the front page of the Daily Post. It was dated 18th of May, 1967. He hurried up the road and suddenly his mobile phone regained a signal. Now he was back in the familiar surroundings. But at the other end of Ranelagh Street, the people were still in 1967. Tom Sleman interviewed Sean 4 times, and he stuck to his story. The guard, who had chased him into the alley, said he literally vanished into thin air. Not everything I think we can call as an abduction by aliens, okay? I think there is certain things which technology which we've come up with, which we're not told about. And there's also, everyone's heard of ley lines, haven't they? And there's two famous lines which run from Devon, Cornwall, all the way up to Norfolk, Suffolk, Norfolk, right across the country like that. Now I'll read you out a couple more stories of these because they are really, really interesting. Peter Webb told me of a rather sinister experience that his father had at a spot cycling over the crossing one evening. Mr. Webb had seen what looked like a body lying about 50 yards down the track. It seemed as if a terrible accident had taken place. Dismounting, he walked towards the body, only for it to disappear before he could reach it. It depends on the person reading it. It depends on the person's viewing that, doesn't it? Is it ghost? Is it, these are more time slips. These are more, and it's getting really to what I want to get to, and that is, I think a lot of times we have to also consider that there is the Earth has a rotation to it, and there is such a thing as torsion force, which, like ley lines, has an energy to it. Okay. I'll get to that. I'll get to that shortly about torsion forces. Okay. Right. Okay. One evening in the mid 1980s, a young lady called Caroline Boast was taking her sister, a younger sister, Amanda, on the drive to celebrate passing her driving test. As they drove along Blackthorpe, a man clad in Victorian clothes with a dog on a lead stepped into the road, perhaps 100 yards farther along. The same man and dog repeated the same sequence of movements. Coincidentally, the girl's great uncle, David Boast, was gamekeeper at Rendlesham Forest and saw the descent of the famous UFO. His father, George, the previous gamekeeper, once saw in the forest a strange vortex snapping off tree branches as it passed in Rendlesham Forest. I just added that because that's like quite a strange, that's going back many years before the UFO cases, the famous 1980 UFO cases, where it was witnessed by the grandfather of these vortexes seen in Rendlesham. I have heard of that before. When I went to Rendlesham Forest, I bumped into this is absolutely true story. I bumped into a dog walker. He had a lovely dog, and I was just talking to him, as I do. I was like, "Oh, how you doing? You're a lovely dog. Pet your dog. It's lovely, yeah." And I said to him, "Look, have you been coming to these forests long?" He says, "Long." He said, He said, "I grew up here." He said, "I've been playing in these forests, dog walking in these forests all my life." Okay, what do you make of the 1980 UFO thing? He said, "Do you know what?" He said, "It was actually a state-of-the-art concept aircraft. That's what they had, and that's what they were hiding." He said it wasn't. He said it wasn't a UFO, as you say. That's what he told me. Because he said he spoke to some of the guards, and locals know them because they kind of the guards don't just stay on base; they go in and have a drink in a local pub, and they talk. And from what he heard, and that's why he was like, "Oh well," But great case. I'm not saying I don't believe him. I'm not saying I do believe him. I'm just saying what he said and that putting it out there. Okay, this one's a good. Gene, this is another case. Okay, now you can take it as being a missing time or a time that is traveling to our time. Okay, Jean Batchram case. On a cool but sunny Sunday afternoon in February 2007, Jean Batchram and her husband, Sydney, better known as Johnny, a retired couple living in Great Barton, decided to go for a drive around some picturesque local villages. They headed southeast towards Ruffham, and Jean had never visited before and drove south down Kingshall Street. They had just passed the two bungalows opposite Colville's Grove when Jean spotted on the left a large Georgian house. It lay across a newly harrowed field in front of some woods. Okay, right, hang on. I've got a picture of the woods. Okay, and she actually put across where she saw this house Can you see that cross just there? Okay. Right, put that one up as a clearer picture. Right. So, she pointed up to Johnny, who glanced over briefly and said that as it was such a lovely house, she would take a closer look at it on the way back. After a pleasant drive, they returned along the same route, but there was no house to be seen. Jean was puzzled and asked Johnny if he was certain they had come out on the same road. Of course, he was certain. It was the only road running south from Rougham. Jean became increasingly worried over the coming weeks, and she felt that they should report the incident to someone. Johnny disagreed vehemently. He declared that he had no wish to be subjected to ridicule and would deny that he even seen the house himself. For 8 months, Jean agonized over the matter. Then, during a phone call to a friend of hers, I called her friend Catherine Powell. She admitted that she had seen something very strange and didn't know what to do. Okay, she drew a sketch of the house, okay? Now, I looked at that, and we're talking about an adult lady, okay? That looks like it's been drawn by a 2-year-old. But thinking about it, she could have embellished it a lot more. It didn't have to look like a hurried sketch by a 2-year-old. She could have used a lot more embellishment on that and, made quite a bit of a finer job. But she sketched that evidently as she envisaged it. So she envisaged it like that. Yeah, that's exactly what she saw. An investigator asked her, and they said, well, if we show you some houses that are like that, can you let us know which ones it looks most like? And out of 12, she spotted this one. And that was in this field on the right-hand side, there where the X is. Very odd. It's so yeah, that's kind of like strange. But right, so she spoke to her friend Catherine. To her surprise, Catherine replied, "Oh, you haven't seen the ghost house, have you?" Jean had no idea that others had also witnessed the same phenomenon. Catherine went on to say that her daughter's boyfriend had also seen it while out driving his van. And it's just these things which happen is kind of like, are they visions of the past that we see? And with the missing, it's kind of like with Chris. He had no recollection of what happened. He's lost that time. He's still got no recollection of it at all. So, I mean, through personal capacities such as clairvoyance and remote viewing, any remote viewers are said to be able to view past events as well as present locations. Is this something we're able to do? This takes us back to, the mind control thing and the Montauk project, and through the ability to read information embedded within our physical environment, also known as stone tape theory. Is that what we're able to kind of impress? Does that impress upon us? Psychometry. This information may relate to houses that once were known to exist in a given area, or to a house that somebody wanted to build at the time but never managed to. but through psychometry, is it the impression of the house, which, and we have to take this into account because we're quite fragile beings, really, and our brains are quite fragile. We have so many kind of strange interactions. We have so many we're so susceptible to magic. Really, aren't we? When you face it, I mean, it's like the David Blaine and Dynamo. It's like kind of we're susceptible. Our brains are kind of wired to that. It's or through electromagnetic effects in the physical environment. With does it affect the nervous system directly, either inducing hallucinations or blocking the working of the internal sensor that has been referred to previously with psychometry? It's a case of, and leave it in the comments. Let me know what you actually think. What do you think? Time and missing places. What's going on with it? Check out the Kersey incident. Okay, I'll have a look at that. I will look at that. Kersey incident, time slip. This incident taken seriously. Yeah, okay. Go right through the park by me. Okay, yeah, they do. They do indeed, Dawn. I will get to this. Right now, I did have a little look. Right, okay. So, right, Hamish Miller and Paul Broadhurst wrote a book entitled "The Sun and the Serpent." Okay, the book has been long out of print. I have managed to get a copy myself, though. The authors decided to use dowsing to survey the Michael ley line, which runs from St Michael's Mount in the southwest of England to the East Anglian coast, passing through many significant such as Glastonbury and Bury St Edmunds. They began by detecting an energy line in the right position and heading along the bearing of the ley, but it soon began to diverge from the ley and moved across the country in a serpentine fashion at Avebury. I've got another. There we go. There's two lines, the Michael and Mary line, and they run along the lower half of England, and they intertwine. They serpentine their way, meeting at different points along the way, and these points are quite significant points. It might have been an old abbey. I know for a fact that they do meet at Bury St Edmunds old cathedral, the old ruins of a abbey which is there. They briefly kiss that and then separate apart again. Right. Okay. So, the serpentine fashion at Avebury, they found a second line of energy of similar power to the Michael current, but of a more gentle feminine quality. This they named the Mary line. Going back to the start, they recommenced mapping the Mary line as well. So at the end of their project, they had mapped two serpentine currents of energy winding their way across the country and contacting many prehistoric sites and various churches en route. Often they crossed, but unusually in Bury, they approached each other uh, at a point in the Abbey ruins and then drifted off again. They kissed and then went off. So I mean, with I don't know how you feel, but I feel that a lot of times, like with the CE5 group, yeah, um, with this thing of getting in touch with aliens by meditation, um, it has had some definite effect. It does seem to work, much the same as people that believe in ghost spirits will inevitably see a ghost or spirit, much the same way that a Dogman cryptid investigator, when they go out, they will hear wood knocks or they will see something in the corner of their eye. They will, it's us as much as it is them. And I think the same goes with very much so with aliens as well. We have to, in a way, believe for it to be witnessed. Do you know what I mean? And I think, but I think with the missing time and missing people, I think a lot of that I, has got something to do with the planet that we're on. I think there's parts of this world which have rifts. What have we got? Ready, steady, retro. On a similar note, this also happens during dreaming. I have dreamt about canals and buildings that I have no idea previously existed in the areas I dreamt about. Yeah, yeah. No, for sure. Yeah, I've uh, I've got a bit of a video. You know what? I'm not going to have the time to cover. I wanted to cover the Nazi bell as well. Yeah, the wonder weapon. I still might do that actually. I don't know. What do you think? Do you think I should play a bit of video? I think I will actually. I think I will. It will just bring it home, okay, that we've got ley lines. We know they have power. Okay, there is some kind of like power to them. But also we have what is torsion fields. Let me find that I've got. Got it here. See, I've done all my homework. I did do all my homework. Bear with. Okay. Right. Well done. Here we go. Okay. Right. One chap who was a big dowser. Yeah. I think he was an archaeologist before. But he kind of like happened to be in the garden. And his neighbor came up and said, "Oh, what are you looking for?" He said, "I'm just about to dig because I want to find this pipe. It was a waste pipe." And next thing, his neighbor came out with a couple of rods, gave him a couple of rods and said, "Look, try these." And he did. Guess what? He dug in the ground where the rods crossed and boom, there was this pipe he was looking for. And that sparked off a whole new avenue of investigation for this guy. His name is Redditch. So quite a famous guy. And I was reading up about him. Actually, he was an astronomer. Okay, Vincent Reddish, the Astronomer Royal for Scotland. Ended a distinguished 40-year career in 1980. Retired to his home in Perthshire, where he planned to enter the tourism business. He had a small plot of land. It became flooded. As I say, he had a blockage in the front garden. Neighbour came out, dowsing rods, and that was it. It's what started him on. Off on the ley line. So further on, an article by science writer John Gribben revealed that after the publication of his book, Reddish was approached by the Ministry of Defence and requested to continue his research. He was told about certain Russian research that appeared to link dowsing or biolocation. It was known also in the USSR with certain highly controversial theories. This is all research, okay? So this guy, okay, Astronomer Royal in Scotland, happened upon dowsing, got obsessed with it, wondered what these power lines, these things which could make so accurately determine sections in God's earth where there would be water, electricity lines. You could also use the same technique to kind of ask it where there's going to be oil. Oil companies employ them. They employ them. They paid them thousands, hundreds of thousands of pounds to go out looking for wells of oil. Biolocation, as it was known in USSR, with certain highly controversial theories about the nature of torsion fields. These fields have been accepted in the physics community ever since Einstein co-authored an important paper about them in the 1920s. But work on them actually began with N.P. Mishkin at the end of the 19th century and Tesla. And research was continued in Russia from 1940s to the present day. There is also evidence that we will shortly examine that German research into these fields was taken place near the end of World War II. The only UK energy dowser was has incorporated torsion field theory into his work. According to Gribben, apparently based upon information directly from Redditch. MOD were interested in using torsion waves for submarine communication. Torsion fields are formed whenever objects rotate, and the larger the objects and the faster the rotation, the more powerful the field. Many anti-gravitational devices are based upon spinning disks. It has been known for some time that gyroscopes lose a slight amount of weight when rotating. Professor Laithwaite famously demonstrated this at a Royal Institution lecture by picking up a heavy gyroscope that he could not normally lift, and also got a small boy from the audience to do the same with a smaller device. The Royal Institute weren't really amused with this, but it still proved the fact. So think of a weightlifter's disc. It's heavy to pick up. 45 kilos. Pick it up. It's heavy. You spin that disc, it's lighter. Torsion fields. What does the Earth do? It spins, doesn't it? Right. Central to the project was a device. Okay, get this. When I read this, I was like, ooh, this is good. Central to the project, and this is all getting to missing time and stuff, yeah? Because I think with the aliens and the Dogman, they are factors, but they're unprovable factors at the moment. We just cannot get, because they're playing games with us. We know there's something there. We know that. I've seen stuff. You've seen stuff. Who hasn't seen lights in the sky they can't account for? Who hasn't seen objects that they can't account for? Who hasn't heard a myriad of podcasts, and they keep going round in circles and round in circles and round in do they exist? Are they there? Do they exist? Are they there? But if we dig a little deeper and perhaps think, okay, there is another field of energy out there, the Earth itself. we have ley lines, that's true. But in conjunction with torsion fields, yeah. Right, so get this. Central to the project was a device named the Bell. Although it seems that the official name is unknown, it was roughly bell-shaped object about 2.5 meters tall by 1.5 meters wide. Inside, mounted on a hollow axle about 1.5 meters long, were two metal drums about 1 meter in diameter, which revolved in opposite directions at high speed. When a test was being run, usually underground, inside a pool of water, a cylinder containing a mysterious substance known as IRR serum 525 was placed inside the central axis, insulated by a layer of lead. There's this guy, researcher, Wachowski. Wachowski believes that that the serum was a amalgam of mercury. Pure mercury was placed inside the drum or the drums. Tests lasting no more than 1.5 minutes comprised rotating the drums and then the application of high voltage via a connection at the top of the assembly. The two aims of the test were described by the military witnesses as vortex compression and magnetic fields separation. When running, the bell emitted radiation which had a damaging effect on nearby electrical devices, and in the case of the first team of 7 scientists, a fatal effect. On most most people that they got too near, be like, oh. 5 died suffering from symptoms of sickness, dizziness, lack of coordination, a metallic taste in the mouth, headaches, and muscle cramps, symptoms that now seem rather familiar. A blue haze enveloping the bell suggested ionization. Test samples, animals, plants, possibly human concentration of human concentration of sorry, you're right, Bess, good boy. Human concentration of let's have a look, fluids, let's put it that way, were used as tests. A lot of times with the plants and animals, degeneration rapidly happens under the influence of this particular type of radiation. As the project advanced, adjustments were made that reduced the negative effects of the bell, but its aims still seemed obscure. There seemed to be 2 theories about the aims of the projects. Dornio said the bottom of the bell was a UFO, wasn't it? Well, yeah. When you look at the similarities, Dawn, you're quite right. Yeah. A lot of people have the same symptoms when they get near a UFO. They often say that they have like metallic taste in the mouth. They get buzzing around and the hairs are on end. Physically, it has a detrimental effect on them. This blue haze around this whole structure. It's familiar, isn't it? All I'm trying to do is connect the dots. You know, that's all I'm trying to do. Just connect the dots. It's easy as that. You know. Right. And I mean, we're on this journey, hopefully, together. And no one's right, no one's wrong. All I'm trying to do is connect the dots and trying to get to some semblance of truth out of all the absurdity out there, because like most, it just goes round in circles constantly, and that's why I like talking to people. I like interviewing them because they bring something. Every single one's brought something to the table. every single one. Anyway, right, okay. There seems to be two theories about the aims of projects Kronos and right. I'm gonna butcher this. Latin treasure. Kronos and Latin treasure. They're two projects, separate projects. As the leading expert on the bell, Igor Wachowski has discovered a lot of information that gives as to its methodology. In short, he believes the bell was intended to be the power unit of an anti-gravity device. A saucer-shaped vehicle which would carry a new generation of chemical weapons. Trying to summarize, Wachowski's long and complex arguments is not easy, really. It's kind of, it works theoretically. He's bang on, really. I mean, rotating masses generate an anti-gravity effect, but attempts to create total weight loss had previously foundered because spin speeds of 2 to 3 million revolutions per minute are required. Phenomenal speed. We now know that when electromagnetic components are involved, lower speeds can be used. But at the time, it's the drums, the mercury would be pressed against the outer walls, and that application of with the application of high voltages would ionize the mercury and attract it inwards towards the axle of the assembly. By the law of conversion, conservation of momentum, the rotation of the mercury plasma would now increase dramatically and vortex compression would occur. The magnetic fields around the mercury plasma would now separate from external field and a strong anti-gravity effect would ensue. This is all kind of like, and this is the essence of what I'm talking about is people have often seen what is a Nazi bell. Dawn said it's very similar to chemo. That's when patients say their symptoms. Yeah. Sure. No, that's right. Yeah, I get it. No, it is. It is similar. Just connecting the dots. It's all linked. Yeah. Sure. I mean, I think radiation is part of the key. But I just want to kind of like put it out there that this thing of missing people, missing places. It's a thing. It does happen, and it's something which we have to, kind of take on board that it's not just a solely aliens or cryptids working together. There is more in this planet. There is more in this planet to sort of regard. There is more stranger things that happen in this planet. Right, I'm gonna play you something before I leave because I'm dropping a video at 8:30. It's very drop. But listen, before you go on to it, all right. I done an interview with a lady called Polly, and she had some very, very interesting, and it's to do with what we're talking about. We're talking about missing people. We're talking about we're talking about time. Now, what about people that are able to have premonitions? Now, this video is dropping, okay, but I'll play you a little excerpt, okay, before it drops. It's on members only, but I'm going to play you a little excerpt of it, okay. But before I do, I'm going to just tell you quickly about our own, both Roxy B and myself. I'm going to put Roxy B on, and she's going to tell you about a house that she knows very, very well where a mysterious missing event happened. Okay, see what you make of this. I'm going to take myself off because I'm kind of I've been whittling on for ages, and I. Sorry, microphone. Your microphone.
Okay, better.
There you go. Better.
Ah.
Right. Okay. Sorry, love.
No, we went to a field in 2020, 2021 during lockdown. And to get there, we'd skirt around the main roads and go down little side streets. And there was this road that we went to. And I've been going past this house for years. It was on a corner. There was a little brook in front of it. And there was loads of weeping willow trees in the front. It was a white wooden fronted house. It was just lovely. And it was, if it wasn't anything too fancy, but it was just a lovely house. And I'd always said, oh, this is my favourite house. If ever it was up for sale and I had the money, I would get it in a heartbeat. It was just lovely. Well, one day we went past and they'd painted it black, which it must have been sold. But not only had that happened, all the trees had gone. And these were full grown. There was 5, 6 full grown weeping willow trees in front of this stream, protecting the property from the road because it was like on a bend on a corner. So I'd said to Phil, I can't believe they've done that. And he said no, because it was so lovely. Well, we didn't go down there for, I don't know, a few weeks. And when we went past again, there was the trees. Now, these are full grown 30, 40-year-old trees back in front of the house. I just can't explain it. Phil can't explain it. It was just something that happened. Was it a time slip? Were we somehow for a few weeks out of time and then back in at the same, or somewhere else? I'm not sure. It was just the weirdest thing. Yeah, and that's that. So I don't know if anyone else has ever had that happen to them.
Thank you very much for that. Appreciate that.
That's okay. And before we go, just want to say I got one of the t-shirts off the website, and they are such good quality. And now the weather's getting warmer, people. It's just really lovely.
Yeah,
it's a nice thing.
That's very good.
And don't forget to like and subscribe.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, that's a little plug there. Thank you. Right, yeah. I might get a t-shirt. You never know. Yeah, that's great. Right, I'm going to play you this video. Okay, so just very short, of this woman that's had a premonition, and this lady Polly is incredible. Just a little, and it's pertaining to what we've been talking about all evening. And I will go into more detail on the wonder weapon. Maybe during the week, actually. So yeah. Okay, let me get this sorted out, and it's very, very interesting. Hold on. Okay. Right, hold on. I'll get it for you. 1 minute. Sorry about it, guys. 1 minute. Bear with.
And I just totally got distracted. And I was watching this bend, and I was having a strange feeling, like the feeling that I sometimes get before something would happen. And I don't know exactly how it happened. I can't explain exactly how it happened. So I don't know if I saw it first, sort of in physical, or I imagined it in my head. So this wasn't from a dream. It was almost like I had like a vision. I imagined that a car was going to come round this corner, and the car was a green, like slightly metallic green Vauxhall Viva. And there was going to be a lady, she was quite a big lady, well built lady, with sort of faded brown hair that was going slightly grey. Sort of like, again, a bit curly-ish, not really short, but not long. And she was wearing a white t-shirt, and she's quite a butch looking lady, if I'm allowed to say that. But I stood and I watched this sort of vision in my mind, and as she's coming towards us, so it's probably about maybe 200 meters away from the corner, 200 or 300 meters, you know, where she comes around the corner. And she comes around the corner, and as she goes round the bend, and as she's approaching us, in my vision, she falls asleep at the wheel, and a car comes up the curb and it crashes into the barrier where we're all stood. You know, there's a group of us, a dozen of us or so, and she crashes into us. And that's this feeling I had, like this vision thing. And I can remember feeling quite nervous, but I felt like it was going to happen. And I went, sort of stood back with the group, because I sort of just walked away from the group a little bit. And I got a little bit hysterical, and I started panicking. And I said, "There's a green Vauxhall Viva. It's going to come around the corner. It's going to crash into us. We all need to move. We need to move away from here." And I was being really, like, quite dramatic about it, I suppose. And there was like people in the group were looking at me as if to say, what's she on? You know, crazy girl. But at that, a green Vauxhall Viva came around the corner, and I started to panic, and I was like, move out the way, and, you know, going completely overboard and trying to hush people out the way. And the lady, as she got closer, I could see that she looked like the lady I saw, that I imagined going to be driving this car. Now, I've never seen this woman before. She came around the corner, she got onto the straight, she fell asleep, her head went forward, and she crashed into the crash barrier. And I was the only I ran over to the car, and I opened the passenger door. The door was unlocked, the passenger door was unlocked, and she was okay. She was a bit shaken, and she said she didn't know what happened. She just fell asleep, and she was fine. And sort of the car wasn't really badly damaged or anything. It was dented, where she dented into the barrier, and sort of a few people came over then, made sure she was okay, and she didn't want to talk. She didn't want us to try and get any help. And I think a couple of the guys pushed the car back off the dirt, off the grass first, sort of thing, and got her into the road, and she drove off. But the people I was with, some of them were okay, but it really freaked people out, and some of the people in the group said I was a witch and I was a freak, and
Okay. Right. So I just want to let's just get this up from here. Right. Just want to thank Dornio70 for moderation. Brilliant job. As usual, really excellent job. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. And also the photos. She sent in photos as well, which I will get on for. I'm gonna do another one during the week. Okay, if you guys want to. If you want me to, just a quick one, nothing too long, but I'm just going to do a quick one during the week to catch up. So, because this with the torsion fields, it's something quite new from the point of view of bringing it up to the platform. It has got a lot of validity to it. It's theorized. It is there. It does happen. And hey, look, the earth spins, doesn't it? It's a torsion. But I want to thank Dornio, and I'll get the photos up next time. Sorry I couldn't do it tonight. I didn't have time, really didn't have time. I had so much trying to pump in. Jesus, my savior. First, we go for our walks at night because I have severe migraines that cause neurological issues. On Saturday, hubby and I went to Mailbox. My hubby don't believe cryptids exist. We heard what sounded like. Okay, come on, what did it sound like? What did it sound like? Okay. I suppose it sounded like a cryptid. Let's have a look. Dogman howls. Hubby mocked me and said, "There's your Dogman last night." Weird. Really? Well, there you go. Yeah. No, I well believe it. I'm first one put my hands up. I've wood knocks, howls, seen them, got them on video. But there again, it's one of those things where it's kind of it's subjective. But if there is something with this, like torsion fields and ley lines, then that could be one reason why they're difficult to capture. Yeah, you think about it, right? I go when I used to go motor racing, GP racing. Yeah, not me personally, too old knacker, but and I used to photograph and get crystal clear photographs of a motorcycle. Okay, either the British Superbikes or MotoGP, and I used to get crystal clear photos, even of the aluminium spokes going round when the bike is doing 160 miles an hour. Yeah, just look, take that on board. From a photographic point of view, the what we have in our pocket, we pull out and we can take a crystal clear photograph like that. And yet the photographs we have of and video of Dogman, UFOs, Bigfoot, a lot of times that people mock the photos, but we can't get a clear one. We can't get a clear one. The only clear ones out there are the AI or the AI enhanced ones. My hubby felt like atmosphere was off, but we didn't see anything. Jesus, my savior. Right. It's yeah, it is a bit of a funny one, I must admit. It's with Dogman. It kind of everything goes quiet and silent, like you're in a silent bubble. Everything is eerie. Honestly, it's so eerie, that feeling where it's just like everything goes quiet, and you feel like you're encapsulated in this kind of bubble of silence, you know. But yeah, no, I get that feeling. I get that, you know. Oh, you'd love to hear more on a subject. Okay, yeah, well, no, I'll do that. Yeah, because I think torsion, ley lines, it's something which is measurable. Because it's measurable, it can be, you know, we can bring it to the table as something else we can sort of shove in here to mix together in the pot to try and get some, you know, answers, you know. Maybe it'll bounce off the right person. Maybe it will just bounce off the right person, and we'll, you know, it'll just open up. Boom. Yeah. You know, someone will go, oh, Phil, yeah, torsion fields. Yeah. You know, the Nazi bell, the mercury, you know, it all, yeah, of course. The ley lines. Yeah. Well, you know, there's one at the end of my garden that, you know, lights up, it glows. That's been told before now. Arcs of light coming up from old burial mounds, and it's like a rainbow of white, brilliant white light in an arc being seen. James myself, I have an interview with Phil about my encounters on this channel. Yeah, and you have, yeah, check that out. I'm dropping one with Polly. Second interview is dropped now. It's 8:30. It dropped. Go and check that out. That's where Polly's talking about the premonition. Also, it's quite emotional, so be warned. Okay, she gets a little bit upset by stuff she talks about, especially with um, you know, her grandmother and stuff. Okay, so be warned. It is a bit emotional. Um, uh, But Dawn, thank you. Listen, thank you very much, Dawn. Roxy B, honestly, lovely t-shirt. I'm thinking about getting one. I do quite fancy one. And remember, the memberships are open. So you know, you get a lot more perks from that way. You kind of like get a lot more feedback. You get more of a personal experience for myself. That's all open. I'm not, you know, forcing anyone. I'm just saying it is there if you want it. Okay. Um, and you know, I plan on doing a lot more investigation work. Starting in 2 weeks' time, I am going up to Norfolk, specifically to a place of Dogman. Then I've got another investigation coming up. Now, members will get the lives. Okay, we'll get the lives, members will, as they happen. Okay, night and day investigation, but the night ones definitely, they'll get them live. So yeah, check it out. I will be dropping also lives for everyone else, but they'll be slightly different. They'll be, you know, but yeah, check that out. But yeah, I appreciate your time, every one of you, and yeah, if you want me to leave in the comments, if you want me to do sort of like a Wednesday one or something, just to kind of recap on stuff, especially about the torsion and the ley lines. I didn't tell you about half the stuff that I've referenced. Half of it. It just goes, oh, it's amazing. Some of the stuff that is like spoken about, especially about the ley lines. You know, the Michael and Mary ley line is incredible. The way it goes across and the places it hits, amazing. Dornio, thank you. Roxy B, thank you. Everyone else, have a lovely night. Thank you for tuning in. I appreciate it. Otherwise, Friday night files. Guess when? Next Friday. And remember, it's all about the timing.